guys, welcome back. It's Jen with Happy Humble Home, and today we're going to be doing another video on our debunking homeschool myths. But before we jump into that video, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you ring that little notification bell so you get notified of all the videos and adventures happening here on Happy Humble Home. So, all right, y'all, let's jump into that video. It's going to be a fun one. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about the third episode in our series of debunking homeschool myths. And today I have a good friend with me, Tara, who's also a fellow homeschool mom. And so she's going to be helping me discuss our next topic. But before you jump into what the topic is, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. My name's Tara, like she said, and I am a homeschool mom. I've been homeschooling for 10 years. I have a 13-year-old who's about to enter 8th grade, a 12-year-old entering 7th grade, and a 9-year-old entering 4th grade. And homeschooling was not a journey that I ever thought that I would be on. So here we are. The Lord changes our hearts and gives us different desires, and I'm so thankful that we're on this journey.
Yes, absolutely. So today's topic is homeschoolers are weird. I was so excited when you told me this one. I was like, this is perfect, which is why I couldn't sleep last night, because I kept thinking about that. So, yes, like, is it a myth? Actually, like, yes and no. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think so I'll say, when I was a kid, yes, this is a myth. I believed homeschoolers were weird. I was not homeschooled.
Come on, it wasn't that weird.
I was not homeschooled. I was a typical like public school student, and so homeschoolers were weird. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I think I actually realized that they weren't why I thought that, what the reason was. But I don't know. I think you have to look at what do you mean by weird?
Yeah, like it's very subjective. Like, I'm weird and I'm okay with that.
That's right. That's right. Is it weird because they're with their siblings all day? Is it weird because homeschooling doesn't look like typical school?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it weird because they're out in the middle of the day doing like
all the grocery stuff?
That's right. Going to the grocery store, or going to a doctor's appointment, or going doing yard work in the middle. I mean, is that what's weird? So I think
makes it weird.
Yeah.
Just because it's different. And because I often think about that. I'm like, growing up, I was homeschooled until, sophomore year in high school. So I'm like, did I just not, was I really that different when I was in high school? Like, I did my own thing. I'm like, would I have been like that if I wasn't? But I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. I'm like, I'm weird and I'm proud of it. So I'm like, is that because I was homeschooled? I don't know. And then also with that, I'm like, even in public school, kids that you would consider weird in public school.
That's
so I'm like, it's not even to say that if you're public school, you're never weird. Because I'm like, everybody can always talk about, that one kid that went to your school that was just, everybody thought they was weird.
That's
so I'm
right.
like, either way, everybody always thinks everybody's weird.
I think I think it's just natural for us to think somebody that's different from us, or is choosing to do things differently, or is interested in things that maybe we're not interested in. That's weird. That's weird. But I think it's more of, it's just different. It's a mindset.
It's not weird. It's just different. I've also come across a post or something that was talking about homeschool kids being weird. And it always stuck with me because it said, homeschool kids aren't weird. Kids are weird. Homeschooling just doesn't make you condition it out of them. And I was like, that's very interesting. Because I'm like, I would think of my own kids, how different they would or wouldn't act if they had to be in a traditional public school, which 2 of them were. But as they get older and get, I guess, more quirky, I don't know. But you know what I mean? It's curious to think about how much it conditions somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to be, for a lot of people, you don't want to be the odd person,
right?
The weird person. So if everybody's wearing certain things, or listening to certain things, or watching certain things, or talking a certain way, or acting certain, you just kind of want to be the one that fits in, and not be the one that stands out, who might be bullied, or who might be picked on, or just thought of as weird. And so, but I think there's something to that. Our children aren't necessarily, that's not what they're, if their sibling thinks they're weird, they don't care.
Right? Yeah, it's like, who cares about you? You're the weird one. It's definitely a fun topic, because it's okay.
It'll be fun. And homeschoolers is such a broad category.
Yes.
I mean, people homeschool for so many different reasons.
Yes.
So there's people that homeschool for religious reasons, for just, I mean, like, well, we all have different, a lot of homeschoolers have different religious views, political views, reasons why they're homeschooling. It may be that dad, I knew a family that was not, they were not Christians, but they homeschooled because the dad traveled all over the country, and he would be on an assignment for months at a time in a certain location, and they did not want to be away from their dad for that long. So they had a camper, and they lived at a camper, and they just homeschooled. And that's
awesome.
like how else could they do school?
Right.
And it's great. They're having all kinds of experiences all over the United States.
That's awesome.
There's families that there was. I think this was more maybe around COVID, but I think it's caught on a little bit when people just packed up and just toured the country for a year, or something like that. And so naturally, you would just school along the way.
Yep.
But
and you get a lot more hands-on that you can't get actually seeing, visiting places, like all the benefits. Because I think Indy, her sister, like they homeschool her because she does a lot of rodeos. So it's like traveling to each rodeo. Like I can't put you in a traditional Monday through Friday school and make all the rodeos. Like it's just not feasible. So
I think we're seeing more parents who are still working full time that are pulling their kids out of school to homeschool, and they're going to do it in the evening or on the weekend, or it's just going to look different. There's so much flexibility, So is that weird that you're doing school at night? I think so many of us were just conditioned to think like school has to be 8 to 3 Monday through Friday or whatever. You know, this if you were in the public or private school system, you just have this idea of what it should look like, but that's not what it has to look like. And for many years, centuries, right? That's not what it did look like.
Right, and that's one of the funny things. Go back, like, because my oldest is getting ready to start high school. I'm like, in the 1800s, you would have been done. And that's if you got to go to school till this age, because you've had all your primary learning. So like your high school was like their college level almost. And I'm like, that's not at all the way it is today. And again, it's to break that mold is very hard, regardless. I feel like every video I talk about, I'm like, you come back to just having to unschool your own mind. So it doesn't affect. And as a kid, I don't remember like being homeschooled. Maybe it's just because I was around other homeschoolers, but I'm like, I don't remember it being weird, or that people thought I was weird because I was. Like, maybe I just didn't care. Maybe I didn't notice. I don't know. Maybe I was just like, whatever. I was off in my own little world. I don't care, right? Who needs the thoughts of other people you don't know? Right.
That's right.
Yeah. So
a few years ago, this is when I think I realized why I thought, when I was growing up, why I thought homeschoolers were weird. And I think I finally realized they weren't weird. They were more innocent in a way. I had been exposed to things just through friends. I mean, well, let's look at this. If you're homeschooling your child, generally speaking, they're not away from you for hours at a time. Or if you're a working parent and you're homeschooling, they're probably at home or with another family member. And so well the influence that's being put upon them. Whereas if you're in public or private school, they're away from you, 7 to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And that's a lot of time to be exposed to all kinds of things. There's no way you could possibly shield your child from some of the exposures that a lot of us, like why we choose to homeschool is to limit what our children are exposed to. And so I think I just realized, like I said just a few years ago, that they were innocent. They were more childlike in a way that I thought was weird, but it wasn't weird.
You wasn't trying to be the adult or be like a lot older than you was. You was just happy being a 10-year-old, 14-year-old, like whatever that looked like.
That's right.
But then I think it's also too interesting that you point that out, because I know a lot of homeschoolers that they tend to work at a younger age, but you're not. But they're still innocent, like it's that weird, like I'm trying to get you to work so you are more adult-like, but you're still a child. So it's like trying to mesh it all together. Whereas like other ones I knew that like they didn't actually have a job until they was in college. So I'm like, and I guess maybe that's because a lot of the jobs, again, was through people they knew. Like you can go help this lady out at her house. You can go help this man do yard work. Like you're very specific on the influences.
that you allow.
Yes, you allow on your child, because there's no way you can fight that.
That's right. No.
Like I've done the math many times and I keep forgetting it, but however many hours it is that you figure out, 8 hours a day for 180 days a year, kindergarten through 12th grade, like that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
I forget how many hours it is, but somebody can do the math and let me know in the comments.
Yeah.
Because I'm not right now. So
yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it was funny because like going to high school when because I had grew up in the same town my whole life, so very few people actually knew me, and they was always like, wait, I'm like, I've lived here since I was 4 months old. I'm 16. I've lived here my whole life. And they're like, where did she come from? I'm like, right here. But I remember I was the one that would like just sit down and read. Like, I didn't want to talk and play all these games and pass notes. I'm like, this is stupid. I just want to read. Like, I just need to pass the test and go home, please. That's all I need to do. And it's like, I don't know. Maybe that was just my personality. I don't know. But
and I don't know. You could tell me if you think this is true. Were there as much homeschool kids like allowed in sporting events or things like that when you were younger, or is that more recent development?
I think it's probably more recent development, at least because I grew up in Camden, which was a very small town. So if you wanted to do anything sport-wise, you had to go through the school system. And I don't think the school system, because we went through the umbrella school, so I don't think the school system was very, it's like today you have certain school systems that are going to be a little more open, ones that are not. So I don't know if that one just wasn't, or if they just didn't want to push it. So they put us when I played soccer, I played for 12 years, but we went to Paris where it was a city league, and I would drive back and forth, and there we go, and that was my soccer. But I almost want to say it was a lot of people on the school board thought it was weird, so they didn't want the homeschool. So I'm like, maybe it was just that particular, because again, I know certain school districts now that kind of have the same mentality, like legally they have to give your child a trial. Past that, they don't have to. They can be the best whatever sport they're trying out for. But then there's other school systems that I know they're like, we look specifically for homeschool kids to put on this teams. So I'm like, I don't know.
Maybe they've gotten past the myth that
maybe
schools are weird.
Maybe they're like, they're really not that weird. They're just good at sports. Let's have them. Like that's what it is. Because PE is outside, right? That's what a kid's PE is all day.
That's right. We could make our own myths about public school kids. Maybe I do think that we are able to have more time training their character.
Oh yeah.
By no means does that mean that public school parents or private school parents are not concerned about those things or don't work hard at those things. That's not. But we have more time to work on those things. And it seems like people are surprised. Oh, your children are so polite, or they're so like.
It's like because I'm around them. It's like how many times do we have to do corrective, responses and it's very interesting because boys have friends that are public school, and of course most of their group is homeschool. That's their group, that's their peers, because we can get together in the middle of the day and do whatever it is they do, and socialize with one another. But it is interesting. I think there is more resources now, so maybe that's why it doesn't seem as weird.
That's possible. We live in a community where there's thousands of homeschool families. There's a lot. And that was when I was growing up. I don't know anybody in my hometown. We had families at church. They lived in neighboring towns that homeschooled, but I didn't know anybody in my hometown that homeschooled. Yeah. And so that probably made it weird too. Like, wait, what? It's kind of like the home birth. You're having a baby at home? Yeah. Like, just didn't know about this.
It's like that wasn't even an option.
That's right.
And I think too. I don't know if Tennessee laws have changed or not, but I do remember growing up. You would be more afraid that people might call because kids were out of school type thing. And I remember on the radio station they would always tell who had skipped school that day, so parents would hear if their kid was not. Wow. Because I remember listening to the radio, and I don't think I'd skipped school. My parents knew I was going to be out of school, but I was technically in an excused absence. And I heard my name on the radio, and it was kind of weird. So I remember that because that's how parents would know. So I'm like, we just broadcast it to the whole town who wasn't in school today without parent permission, or that they thought didn't have parent permission. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's just again, like you said, the weird, like what's your definition of weird? Because it's just different. And then also too, like it's easy to say homeschoolers are weird because what they do is different. But then if we see like another family that has a different background, we wouldn't call them weird. We would just say their culture is different. Like we wouldn't use that phrase with it. Weird. So it's like, any other thoughts on it?
I mean, yeah, I think probably we can bust the myth and just say they're different. Yeah. But that's anybody, anywhere.
Any place, whether you're public, private.
That's right. And even in the homeschool community, we might think, oh, those homeschoolers are weird. But it's just, if we boil it down to it, it's just because they're different. They're just involved in different things, have different lives. Maybe they dress differently than we do.
Yep.
Different interests, like all the,
different reasons for homeschooling.
Yes. And so, but we just probably need to purge that
weird phrase
from our thought processes.
It's
and
like
just
you
think,
said,
different.
Yeah, because, very well said. So, homeschoolers are, and there's our kids trying, and there's our kids at the door holding a frog.
Right.
They just found it in the ditch, so it's always one in every video. The kids bring something up to it, never fails. It's awesome, but it's great because that's what they do, that's what they love. And
they're probably all wet, that's why they're not coming in.
Probably. Either that or they're like, wait, they're making a video, so we need to It never fails, but alright, so and that was kind of a quick myth to bust because it's, like you said, it's different. As always, if y'all have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comment section. Also, you can also follow Tara over on Dolls Barefoot Farm on YouTube and Facebook, right? And Instagram and all of them. So I'll leave all those links in the comments because you've probably heard me mention her name in other videos because she's where I've gotten some of my plants that are in the garden. So I know for a fact I have mentioned her on this channel. So now you have a face to go with the name from Dolls Barefoot Farm. It is Tara. So as always, leave them in the comment section below. You can email me any other homeschool myths or questions like that, and we will try to put those on the channel. Thanks for watching.